Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. We're having a little fun today. We're having like a little fun with watercolor. If you're just starting out with watercolor, we're doing some kind of semi-abstract today. You get a little house in the field with trees. Really kind of juxtaposition of like a just kind of blended, abstract in here, and then a really kind of expressive one down below. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment sections, and the Patreon members get a little extension version of this. If you want to be a Patreon member, click the link in the description box. There's all kinds of benefits to being a Patreon member, so go check it out. All right, let's get started. All right, so I'm playing with Fabriano 100% cotton cold pressed paper here. This is a block. This is the bright white one. They have a natural white one. I like the bright white one sometimes to play with. And I'm going to figure out, if we're going to do this abstract, where do you want the land to start? Like, do you want the sky here, the land to start here, like the major part of it? I want it kind of to be more up here and more, more of a kind of a loose, kind of funky, kind of foliage kind of hopping down here. So I'll think about dividing my line. It doesn't have to be straight across. It can be a hill or whatever, but you can just kind of go up here. We figure out where you're going to have your land mass coming down this way. You can play with drawing in with the pencil. So I might just kind of sketch in some kind of like wiggling in some, stems, and like maybe some flowers will be down here. I'm just going to play with that. I don't know if I can keep that, but I don't know if I'm going to paint over it. But right now I'm just kind of sketching loosely little bits of stems. And I'm thinking I'll have some greenery down there. Play with that. I don't know. And then up here, I can keep it just simple. Maybe I'll have a little house that's peeking through the woods. I don't know. Or maybe not. I can just do like a simple house. Because I want it to be mostly abstract, and maybe I'll have like some part of it it's not. I don't know if I'll keep the house, but I'll put some green around it. Just a simple shape. So you can draw a rectangle, right? And this could be a triangle here and go down into the square. That's your house. And then I'm going to have some greens kind of playing around with it. I'm going to do some greens around it. We're going to play with that. I don't know if I'll keep the house. I actually might erase this to keep it more abstract. I don't know. It's up to me. I'll figure it out. And I'm going to start with some big brushes. I have a Princeton 16 Neptune series brush. I'm going to get this wet, but before I get this wet, you want to have your color kind of ready to go. So I'm going to grab my 12 and just mix up some greens. So Prussian blue, little burnt umber. I'll clean up my brush again. I'll grab some yellow. So some green is the burnt umber. Different kind of green, maybe a little bit darker with the blue and the brown. And we could do like a really bright one. Get the yellow. Mix up my greens. It's like a chartreuse color. This is like a medium green. Now you can have a sky, not have a sky. It's up to you. I think I'm not going to bother with that so much. I'm going to loosen up some burnt sienna and a little bit of ultramarine blue deep. I can't speak today. Now you need some clean water. I'm going to grab my bigger brush here, this guy, and just put some clean water up top, not the bottom half, the top half. If you want to not go around the house, see I went and I hit the house, but that's okay. Do every area but the house and the bottom. So I'm getting this all wet. Now I can play with the sky. I didn't intend on playing with the sky, but maybe I'll put a little blue in there. So I'm just going to loosen up some ultramarine blue deep. Right here, burnt sienna. I'm using the same brush. I want to water it down. I don't want it to be so dark. And I'll add some like this. Ooh. And let the paint just do its thing. I'm going to clean up my brush. And I'll add a little bit more water coming down. Oh, there's some yellow in there. All right, now I'm going to flip it I'm going to put my greens coming in there. I just noticed there was no water right here. Goodness gracious. How's it going to flow? Should have it all kind of flowing. So I'm going to just tap in all kinds of color here. Have it flow down. It's going to play with that. I've lost kind of my straight line, but that's okay. Grabbing some darker color again. Maybe grab even some Paynes gray in there. I want this green to be really kind of dark. Tapping. I might have gone off my little house, but that's okay. Let me just turn it back around and see where I'm going here. Yeah. Get even looser. I'm going to mix these colors together. If I have to spray it, I might spray it when I'm tilting it. Bring it back. Tilt it, lift it like that. Grab some more yellow. A little bit of burnt sienna. I'll make more of an olive green. And this part, I think, dried a little bit. So I'm going to add some water in there. It's a little too much water. And I'm playing with different color greens. And some of that dark green in there. Some brighter green. So it looks like a bunch of trees are happening here. I'm going to put some behind the house. I decided to keep my little house kind of hanging out in there. But it's covered by the trees. They're cute. We could have some floating in front of it. So if I clean off my brush, just add a little bit of water in here. And some bushes going right in front of it. Now I'm going to get thicker Prussian blue and burnt umber. I want these kind of areas to be dark. Maybe even a little Paynes gray in there. Burnt sienna. A deep darker green. That's not super bright. Kind of filling that in there. Put some over in here. Really kind of loose. Make a tall tree, like a cypress tree, kind of just going up and down like this. We're just playing here. There's no rhyme and reason to this. Go back over here. Gonna add some bright yellow. Again, you can kind of lift and go like this and move the paint. Tilt it. Leaving that little spot. I kind of like that. And I'm just kind of mixing everything now. Like a tall tree. Almost like a cypress tree here. So like the house and the foliage, the greenery, bright yellow, really kind of thick. I'm playing with this color here. Look at that. Look how fun that was. Didn't take much time too. So you're just playing with color, moving around little shapes, leaving some light areas. I'm going to go darker around here. Bottom. I'm going to add some burnt sienna. Now we have our distinct line that's happening here, but we're going to bring it down now, right? And I like the house and the kind of the trees. That's just like that happening. I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm going to grab more of the burnt sienna, kind of mixing in here. I might remove some of this green. I want more brown style happening. Now you can kind of leave that white line there or kind of just blend it towards the bottom. So I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to pull it down. I'm not going to fill this whole entire page, by the way. I'm just going to go up in here and kind of blend now. I want like the juxtaposition of like really this kind of almost formulated painting up here and then just kind of this wild stuff happening down here. So now it's starting to bleed into it, which is great. And I'll add some ultramarine blue deep. Now see, I'm just playing with the color now, just kind of moving it around, like how I drew this kind of stuff down here. Wiggling my brush. I'm still using a 16, by the way, and I'm just kind of playing back and forth. See, I'm just barely touching the paper. I'm kind of moving my brush in this kind of fashion. See, like, and then kind of every now and then, go in here. This is the more abstract part of the painting, right? I don't mind the green. We can put some of this yellow in here. Get some more bright yellow. So my intention is like the flowers would be kind of down here and the land is up there. Kind of this cool looking kind of stuff going on. I'm going to add some of this greenery. Now I'm going to water it down and kind of moving it around. See? Look at that. It's kind of cool, isn't it? All right, I don't want to get too fussy down in here. I don't want to add more water. I like the way it's going there. So now I'm getting a little thicker with the paint. I'm going to grab my brush. Let's see, where are you? I'm just gonna grab a stiff brush to mix up some paint. I'm gonna go back with this yellow, burnt sienna, Prussian blue. Get a thicker green, more burnt sienna, or even brown, burnt umber, some Paynes gray, just a deeper, darker green. Just like that. I'm going to play with using my liner brush, which I love. Grabbing this. It's a little thicker. And because it's still wet in here, this thicker paint is not going to move as much. I do want to go in and just grab some Paynes gray, actually, to water down a little bit. Love a liner brush. Get these nice marks. Grab some Prussian blue in there too. That's a little too blue. It's all right. I'll add some burnt sienna and a little bit of yellow. But you can play with color. I have like these mostly greens, and you can throw in a nice funky, color. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to water this down a little bit though. It's a little too dark. It's going to fade though anyway. Just a little couple marks. Ooh, some splatters happened. And now it's dry down here, so it's kind of really cool. These little marks going like that. Now, for your flowers in here, pick whatever color you like. Bright yellow, red. We're just going to splatter in here. Pick whatever color you think is going to be fun for you. I'm thinking yellow for me. I don't know why. It feels like it's a sunny day outside, even though it's like 20 below. But let's stick with some yellow. So I'm going to grab any kind of brush over here. What do we got here? Just like an 8, whatever. Thick paint right out of the tube. This is cadmium yellow deep. Give it a touch of water. I'm going to start to just tap it sporadically like this. You can splatter it, but you have to move the paint a little bit. And because it's already wet, it might just move too much. So I can start to splatter some of it. I always tap on top of something else like this. Ooh, I'm loving the yellow. I don't want to get up. See, it got up in here. So that's what I don't want to do. I want to cover it. Let me get a piece of white paper. It did get up in there. I can kind of manipulate it a little bit just by a little touching. Nope, that was wet. They might get a bloom in there. And you know what? So what? It happens. It happens to the best of us. I'm just going to tap some of those yellows. Maybe I put just a tree back here and you won't even notice that bloom. And this dark one here too. So you want to cover this. It's still very wet. If you can kind of cover it, do that. or wait till it dries. But sometimes I like when it's a little bit wet below so that you get that nice blending bleed kind of situation happening. I'm tapping some water on here because it's too dark, it's too thick and it's not moving as much. Now obviously the flowers will get tinier in the back, which is great for the splatter, and bigger in the front. But look how cool that looks. You can add a little red in there. And already you have this really cool picture. I love it. So we'll let that dry. Meanwhile, the house, just a simple house. You can put in a gray roof and keep the house white. Put a color. Don't go too crazy, you know. Just grab whatever simple brush you have. I'm going to grab this 8 round. So blue and burnt sienna, make a nice gray. Mix them up. Now this gets a little more advanced. If you're just playing with the watercolor in the beginning with the splattering and just tapping in the pigments, you're just going to take your time painting a roof here. So just a gray color tone for the roof. Like I said, you can keep the house white if you like. I'm going to bring this down here. Right? It might need to get a little bit darker. I don't know. Or you can keep it lighter. Keep the house white, but of course one side is going to be a little bit darker. Maybe make this the shady side and we can add some windows. I'll have to wait till this guy dries because if I don't, it will bleed right into it. Right? And I'm loving all this. If you want to go back in with your liner brush and add a few little marks, feel free to do so, kind of like out here. We're going to wait till it dries. We're going to add the windows onto the house and call it a day. And we have a really cool semi-abstract picture. All right, it's dried. I'm going to water down this gray and add the shadow side to here. Actually, I'm thinking that I want to add this color to all of it and then keep the front lighter. So I'm going to lift this, just going to lift the color up. I don't like how this side should be lighter and this side should be a little bit darker. So I'm going to make this side a little bit darker and keep the front light. And then just add a door. This would be the door. Simple doorway. For the house. And then you can go in and you can add in branches and stuff like that if you want. I'm going to grab some Paynes gray, mix it with my greens, and browns. There's some of these lovely little trees in here. Again, it's the liner brush. Just put in some branches because it looks like one of those cute lollipop type trees. Just put some branches in there. And you have a really cute little house. Sweet. So I hope you enjoyed this. You know, just playing with color, moving it around here. Didn't have to put a house in. This is like my favorite part, right? And if you didn't put the house in, still looks cool. You can do different trees here. You can put some flowers out here. Play around with your paints, moving them around like I did, and then just like juxtaposition of like the kind of smooth, you know, molding of like the trees back here, and then the kind of like abstract expressionistic style on the bottom. I love it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if this is something you like, enjoy. Love to hear it. And if you're a Patreon member, you get the extended version. So remember, if you want to join Patreon, just click the link in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for stopping by my channel. I really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.